you used to do this before we got married. You used to do that before we got married. It's like when we got married, you stopped doing all the things that made me happy. Now, that's not okay to feel that way.
Different chapter and evolution of your spouse can even kill what it is that you purposely enjoy in your spouse.
But for some of you who don't get to talk a lot, a great way to be intentional with just your marriage in general is to schedule a day where you can just kind of connect for 30 minutes every week. Start it off with.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Relationships Refocused. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Essence. And if you're new to the channel, here we reaffirm and reestablish God's standards for the relationships closest to us. And today's topic is marriage changes everything. Some of you may have heard that, like, when are you guys going to get married? Or, you know, someone that you may be friends with or just in close relationship with may say, I'm never getting married because marriage changes everything. This is a statement that is old its time and of being a huge reason as to why some people never pursue marriage. So we're going to tackle some of those reasons behind that statement.
Yeah. And some of the things that can seem like symptoms of that happening too. A lot of times that can start with either hurt feelings or complaints, or comparison as well. I think one of those things that can kick off as that comparison is just the behaviors that we kind of take on and do prior to being married. You'll have comparisons of, how much somebody cooked before and versus after they got married. Or you'll have comparisons of just the amount of time or the types of things that were talked about in a general conversation before versus after being married. And all of those things can set married couples up for failure, for disappointment, for judgment, and all those things when you're comparing yourself. That old phrase, comparison kills.
Yeah.
Even if you comparing yourself to yourself, or comparing your spouse to your spouse, just the different time frame, the different season, the different chapter and evolution of your spouse can even kill what it is that you what it is that you purposely enjoy in your spouse.
Yeah.
One of those things is sex.
Yeah.
Is one of those, and we've talked about that before in the past. Just how it seems like things can be spicy before you got married, and then afterward is just, there's a few reasons for that.
Yeah.
There's a few reasons for that I can go into, but I ain't want to drag too long. Would you?
Now, another thing that I've seen is behind that statement is, of course, these people, some may have already experienced marriage and gone through a divorce, and that statement may be embedded in the disappointment of that marriage and what they experienced. And then two, they may have seen what marriage does or has been in another, like, family member or someone else's life. And so they're like, I'm never getting married because I saw what marriage did to so-and-so. I saw how it wasn't good, and so I'll never want to experience that. So it's so many different reasons behind why people make that statement, and sex, like you said, being one of them. And we have to just kind of go back to what are you dating like? What is your dating life like? You're comparing your wife to your girlfriend, when in reality, or your husband to your boyfriend. And the reality is half of the things that some people were doing in that dating phase should have never been taking place in the first place.
That's the first thing.
So it's like we have to go back and kind of talk about dating. We have a dating episode, so kind of go back and look at that episode. We talked about what it looks like to date in a holy manner. But some people are like, yo, I heard when you get married, you never have sex. But you have sex all the time, anywhere, any kind of, before marriage. And it's like, well, first off, let's wheel it back in. Why were we even doing that?
Why were we in the first place.
In the first place. Now, are there things that do change within a marriage, or that you have to work harder at maintaining that level of courting when you're married, because there are different stressors within a marriage than dating? If you have not done everything within that dating phase that have been in the marriage phase. So, for example, I've seen some people and like, oh, they got married, and they're like, so how do you feel now that you're married? I mean, I feel the same. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
Every time.
I guess I can use this as an example. When we got married, we were super excited when we got our place together, because we didn't move into our first place together until like a week after we got married. And we were like, oh my gosh, it's like a sleepover that never ends. And, we were just super excited to be exploring this new territory together, because I had never lived with a man, and this was, you never lived with a woman prior to marriage. And so it was really exciting for us to be in this space like, oh my God, like, wait, this is forever? Like, I wake up the next morning and it's, okay, this is awesome. But it breaks my heart for some people who didn't necessarily go that route, and they get married, and it's like, oh, I mean, it's the same thing we did last week.
Yep. Yeah, I have, in my wedding photography days, I shot a lot of couples. Man, got to meet and talk with a lot of couples, and a lot of those relationships, they were cohabitating before they got married, and to that point, a lot of them I heard, oh, it's the same. Like,
and it's good they wouldn't got married, because we should yes.
Like, man, like, this messed up. Like, this is your whole new. But here's the crazier thing about that. It's what they don't know. It did change. Like, this is what I think folks misunderstand about marriage. Like, they think it's just a contract. It's just signing a piece of paper. While that is a valid part of it too, you should make it official.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. This is a spiritual ordination that takes place. And when those things take place, things in the spiritual realm change as well.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder why those marriages get divorced. They was together for a decade plus.
Yeah.
And then they get married and they divorced.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's because something did change.
Yeah.
Something absolutely changed.
Yeah.
But I think a piece of that, the whole thing is, like, the comparison I was talking about is really a deception, which we know that's what the enemy does anyway. He deceives and twists and steals every single possible thing he can. And the crazy thing about it is, deception, you can only be deceived with truth because it's twisted. So there's elements of it there. It's like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But it's just one little piece missing where it takes it away from what things actually should be. So, with the whole sex thing, how we shouldn't be, like, there's a reason why God ordained sex for a married couple and only for a married couple, because of all of the consequences that come with it if you don't keep it within the union. All of and that's not just consequences of having a baby too early or getting a disease or
it's the bonds and the ties that come with it.
The ties that come with it, what it does to your understanding of sex pre-marriage, how you can subconsciously compare your spouse to your past or things that you want, like all of these different things take place and are consequence to when we go into having sex before. So yeah, we may get in our marriage and be like, oh man, my wife ain't busting it out like she used to, or my wife, that was too much.
No, it's okay.
That was too much.
I just was shocked.
Okay, sorry. Oh man, my husband, he just don't really do it for me no more. It just like of course that's the case, because you're comparing your husband or wife to the pre-married version of your husband and your wife when it shouldn't have been happening in the first place. And I think that this is what we specifically talked about before, how it can seem like that when you having sex before marriage. it's typically you're entering into that every time you see each other.
Yeah.
But when you're not living each other with each other, it makes sense that every time you see it's playing a trick on deception.
Mm-hmm.
It's playing a trick on your mind with the truth.
Yeah.
But now you live together. You see each other every hour of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain is like, and your body is like, all right, well, we supposed to be having sex.
Yeah.
But no, you're not. And that's normal. Because don't nobody do that. unless unless that's just where y'all are.
Yeah.
But it's that type of comparison that can just make the before marriage and the after marriage seem like it's this stark difference, and make you start to get in your head and think like, man, this ain't really what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting what you said, because half the time when you dating somebody, you're not living together. Like you said, when you get together, you getting together, okay? And so it seems like it's more often than when it is when you married. And on top of that, when you are just dating someone and you haven't merged and become one when it comes to finances, where you live, and how everything isn't fun coming together as one, it's not all those same stressors. When you're married now, it's like, okay, the money's together, we have to run a household, we may have children, just normal life stressors become a lot. And so how you handle that when you're married makes the world of a difference too. And you have to leave space for that, because those life stressors can affect certain areas of your marriage, or just how you're showing up, or you're just overall person. And so some people get married, they're like, I'm tired. I worked a double and we got kids at home. I had to go get the car fixed and I had to go do this, that, and the third. And it was like, I'm tired. I really don't want to. It's not that I don't love you. It's just all the life components dropped on top of the marriage has kind of affected that. And, one thing we've talked about when we've talked to other couples is, how can you overcome that when life gets in the way of your intimacy, right? You have to be intentional about what that looks like to make sure that you guys are connecting, right? And it may be a little bit unorthodox. In fact, I had somebody ask the question like, why is, you get sex all the time before you married, which shouldn't be the case, by the way. But when you get married, you got to schedule it. Sometimes you just have to schedule it, because sometimes life can just have you both going, one going this way, one going the other way. So that's the intentionality of maintaining that intimacy. That's the intentionality of making sure that you're just connecting on that level with one another. And if you love someone and you want that marriage to work, that intentionality may look a little different for you. And it may not look like that spur of the moment when you're young and getting it, you know what I'm saying? It may look a little different, but is something truly wrong with that? I think I had, early in our marriage, I think there was one point and it was like, hold on, you got to schedule it? And
I was a scheduler.
And it was funny because it was just so many different things happen in life. But at that young age, I didn't realize the intentionality with that. It's like, wait, I can't abandon this important part of my life because all of these other very important things are happening as well. So it's not that it's a bad thing. You just have to be intentional with your marriage.
Yeah, and that's a both ways too. For the person that is okay with scheduling or can rely on scheduling, yeah, you should absolutely be that intentional with it. We schedule everything else with our spouses. What's wrong with scheduling? Yeah. It's because there's a comparison there. It's supposed to be hot and spicy and
sometimes life is not hot and spicy.
Well, okay.
Sometimes seasons
the lead up, getting
to
it should be this spontaneous thing that only happens because we're so magnetically drawn to each other and made for each other.
Because y'all watching all that unreal stuff on movies and all that's like,
come on
now.
But then also to the person that is the scheduler. Did I say the scheduler already? So the person that isn't the scheduler, the person that wants it, that don't mean that they don't want you. That doesn't mean that.
I would argue that they do.
They do. They just
because that's because they're intentional. I would
as
argue
long as
that.
they coming with it, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, like don't just make me no checkbox either now. Like
No,
don't just make me
don't
no
want to do like,
checkbox.
up, gotta go.
Like don't
That's
just
not
make me
cool
no
either.
checkbox either.
No.
You know, but it's that level of intentionality. Like I said, we schedule everything else. We schedule dates with our spouses. We schedule times to meet with our spouses. We schedule all
Well,
this
I would
stuff.
hope, because some people could be
Yeah,
abandoned in those areas too. So we make
yeah.
everything about physical, but it's not just about that. Sometimes it's just sitting around and being. I would tell somebody, we don't have to say nothing to each other. In fact, we don't even have to be doing the same thing. I just want to be in the same vicinity. You know what I'm saying? I want to know where you are. You in the same room, or like you leave the room? Like, where you going? Like, we don't have to even be saying anything. It's just being around each other, too, that makes the world of a difference. So it's not just sex. Be intentional with the dates. Be intentional just with the quality time.
Be intentional with what your significant other needs to feel like you are actually into them. Be intentional with like that. Like that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's what it really is. Um,
And that may
what
that
people
may
are looking for.
start with you first having a discussion. Sometimes people don't even they want something and they don't even know what they want, and then you want to show up a certain way, giving them what they need, and you don't even know what it is. So let's spark that conversation first. One the other person. Sometimes we one expect people to know what we need, or two, and two, we struggle articulating what we need as well. And so this is great to just start having that open dialogue within your marriages, where you do those check-ins and you express what you need, and you meet them at those needs, because sometimes somebody like, well, I wanted this, well, I gave you this, and it wasn't speaking to the need. So we're first have that conversation with one another to see what the other person needs to make sure you're showing up in that manner. So when it comes to the intentionality portion, there's also been like this thing where some people are like, you used to do this before we got married. You used to do that before we got married. It's like, when we got married, you stopped doing all the things that made me happy. Now, that's not okay to feel that way. It's not okay. It's not okay for you to make your spouse feel that way when a marriage has happened. So when we talk about that intentionality, it's one, if you're noticing that something has fallen off, or you're not feeling like the effort is there, talk about it. Open dialogue in a marriage is so important, and it's okay to express when a need is not being met. However, every season doesn't require the same thing. So the things that we were doing, like for you to, for if it, let's say it was you and I, and you're like, you're not doing, or I say you're not doing everything that you used to do prior to us being married, and you met me there. Okay, I did this before we got married. I did this before we got married. And I'm like, that's still not fulfilling me. I'm not even the same person I was then. I think what sometimes it is where marriage and the pressures of life have gotten in the way, and you're looking for that. I don't know that
like a break, a little. Really, what it is, a shot of dopamine.
kind of, yeah. I would
Really?
say that, yeah. A shot of dopamine. If you haven't already, and I think I've mentioned this in other episodes before, it's something that has worked for us. Kind of fallen off of it a little recently, but we kind of picked back up on it too. But because of how our schedules work, we kind of get to talk a lot. But for some of you who don't get to talk a lot, a great way to be intentional with just your marriage in general is to schedule a day where you can just kind of connect for 30 minutes, and it just be a check-in every week. Start it off with kudos. Hey, I noticed that you did this and this week. I so appreciate blah blah blah. Okay, talk about your finances, because that can be a huge stressor in the marriages. To talk about go for kudos, finances, chores. What are you working on this week? Like, I got this coming up. I'm gonna actually, my goal this week is to get their garage cleaned out. My goal is to get these closets cleaned out, whatever it may be. And then we talk about, what was the other one?
Then just what we want to do. So talk about what you want to do as a family, as a couple.
Dates, yeah.
If you have kids and stuff, incorporate that in there too, because we part of the family.
Yeah.
But dates that you want to do or activity, just whatever you plan on doing together.
Yeah.
And
And the
then
last one is.
the last one is rooms for improvement.
Yep.
It's
You see how we say that for last though? Like that makes the world of a difference.
Yeah, it sets it makes sure that you don't start the whole conversation with
a negative note.
if we real, it shouldn't be, but sometimes a potential argument.
Yeah,
it could be.
It could be.
It could be. But when you know how to argue well, it's not that big of a issue either.
Yeah.
It's really just you talking freely about your emotions in a safe and responsible way.
For sure. For sure.
Because if you're not safe and responsible with your emotions, then don't nobody want to talk to you.
Yeah.
If you blow up or manipulate or whatever, whatever else, then don't nobody want to talk to you about that.
Not at all. So kudos, finances, dates, chores. Kudos, finances, chores, dates, opportunities for growth, areas for improvement, however you want to put it at the end. But make sure starting with kudos is important. You want to be seen for all your efforts in the marriage. So this gives you the opportunity to watch your spouse.
Yep. It gives you the opportunity to watch your spouse, hear from your spouse.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity for you to share how you, because I feel like there's like this tone that's kind of set that only your spouse matters in the relationship. Now, there is elements of where that is like healthy. You know what I mean? Where you looking to serve. That's what we should be doing in our marriages. Anyway, you're looking to serve.
Yeah.
However, if you're not even keeping up with or being aware of like this, marriage is so uniquely different than any other relationships because we're locked in here. We're locked in here now. There's plenty of people nowadays that say, you locked in until they stop making you happy. But we know it ain't always going to be that. No, it's not always going to be that.
Another day,
but we're locked in here. So you kind of got to make sure that you're at least aware of what you need too. So you can, like you were saying, communicate those things or speak up when you're not getting what you need. When you're not getting the spiritual fulfillment, physical fulfillment, relational fulfillment, when you're not getting these things, you have to be able to know and be aware so that you can communicate that stuff with your spouse and not suffer forever.
But creating that space where you blot out the world and everything else and you focus in on one another to become better at this union makes the world of a difference. So for those of you who do not remember, I'll say it again. Schedule those weekly meetings with your spouse. Kudos. Make sure that you are watching to acknowledge the efforts of your spouse. 2, discuss your finances. You are a team. Life and the economy will happen, but come up with a plan together so that your finances do not ruin you. 3, what chores are you covering? There's things around the house, but if we know that we're doing this together, what are the chores that we're tackling? 4, be intentional with your dates, which family outings or with regular dates that you're going to have together. And 5, neither one of you are perfect human beings. So make sure that you are discussing any concerns that you have with one another and plans to be better for one another.
That's a good wrap. Put a bow on that. Please implement this stuff too.
It works. It really does.
We get too, like we've been saying this whole episode, we get too comfortable in not being intentional with our marriages, but it's when that intentionality comes, when you're doing your marriage on purpose with some actual care, like you'll care about anything else. That's where the longevity comes from, with the fulfillment right next to it as well. Not just longevity just to be longevity, but longevity with something that's valuable, that is solid, that other people can glean from, that your children can look up to. Like this type of stuff is what makes marriage the even deeper ministry that it already is, and purposeful ministry that it is.
That's all that we have for you all today. Continue to make sure that you subscribe. If this is something that benefited you, please make sure that you share it with a married couple, someone that you know is engaged to be married, whoever. Just do us a favor and sharing it with someone else.
Yeah, yeah. And well, yeah, I guess that's it.
Until next time, we love you and stay
Stay
focused.
focused. Peace.